So the Acolyte's over, so that's good. I know a lot of people have probably already kind of went through the process of mourning the death of Star Wars, and I don't think a lot of people realized how bad it was until this show came out, and then it was like just abundantly clear that it doesn't seem like it's going to be fixed ever. Like, they don't want to course correct. They don't want to create something entertaining or that doesn't fly in the face of George Lucas and the fans. Where do I even start? So I released a video about the finale, kind of discussing what is my biggest problem with the show is of The Acolyte, which is there aren't any good guys. There's no one to root for. The protagonists shift to antagonists and back and forth so violently and on a dime throughout the entire course of the show. It's like you get whiplash. Very much so, the writers and creators have no conviction. They don't know what they wanted this show to be. Well, they wanted it to be a spectrum of morality. They wanted villains to be portrayed as sympathetic. They wanted heroes to be conveyed as corrupt, deceitful, just as bad, I guess, as the villains are. So they're all kind of like on this equal footing. And yeah, one of the actors who plays Yord, I can't think of his name, the name of the actor, but he plays Yord, said that the show is not about good or evil. It's not about good or evil. It's just depends on what side you're on. And that's very much encompasses what this show is. The Yord actor said the great thing about Star Wars is there's no good guys. And I'm like, yes, there are. Pretty sure the good guys weren't the ones that committed genocide and occupied entire planets and enslaved races. But no, those are painted now as, well, it's the Jedi's fault for doing that, for allowing them to come into existence, for allowing Sidious to come to power, I guess. It's so messed up what's become of Star Wars. And George Lucas himself has recently stated that under Disney, they've lost his core ideas. And they have. And it seems that they are proud of it. They are proud to dismiss lore. They are proud to dismiss the fans and what they want. And you're free to do that. Yeah, and that's why no one's watching the show. I'm pretty sure it's just the ones that care because we are nerds and we haven't maybe yet reached the point of total despair that we're still interested in it to see what happens, like a car crash. You can't look away. But general audiences aren't watching this. You're trying to appeal to a fan base that doesn't exist. You want to appeal to those who are outside, who are not Star Wars fans. That's what the show wanted to be. And in other shows too, they want to appeal to, I guess, more women, but a lot of women aren't fans of this genre, aren't fans of Star Wars. And just you inserting women in lead roles is not the answer. That's not how you do it. I mean, for one, it's just a statistical fact that not a lot of females like this genre in particular. But at the end of the day, everyone appreciates a good story, a good, well-written story. Yeah, Star Wars can appeal to everyone, but you're not writing good stories, so it doesn't. They just feel like it's just as simple as just putting women in there. They feel like that's all they need to do. Actually, it's kind of insulting when you think about it to probably any women who do watch the show or any female nerds. I'm insulted. If you think this is just enough to just put women in here and not give one other thought to the story, their motivations, their journey, like fully fleshing them out as a character, we need a good story, a good, well-written story. Everyone can appreciate that, but they don't want to do that. They feel like it's just enough to insert whatever sort of diversity and minorities, and they feel like that's enough. That's it. We don't need to tell a good story. We just check whatever boxes, and that's it, right? They tried to switch Star Wars from a brand men could enjoy to one women could enjoy, but instead they produced something nobody could enjoy. Very well said. Actually, there were a lot of women who liked Star Wars. Obviously, I'm one, and who liked it the way it was, because they had people in charge who knew how to write good stories. And everyone that they brought on for their whole multimedia IP knew how to write good stories in those mediums too. The Acolyte was not even a story. I think it is just a bunch of independent scene scrapbook together and the writers of one scene not communicating it to the writers of another. It does feel like that. It just feels like a mishmash. And again, no one had convictions. No one had a good grasp of any of the characters and what their motivations are. I feel like that's a theme though. But I remember when Ahsoka was premiering that I didn't know any of the characters and why they wanted to do the things that they were doing. I learned nothing about Balin, and he was probably the most interesting character, which was played by Ray Stevenson, the late Ray Stevenson. But I knew nothing about him, how he survived Order 66, why he's on this journey that he's on, how his apprentice, Shin Hati, and him got together. What is her motivations? Also, how did they meet? Why does she want to follow him? What is her motivation? We learn nothing about these characters. We just see things happen to them. Yeah, if you could look at this show, I can't describe who these characters are, none of them, outside of just what happens to them. And when you look back to the OT, you immediately knew what was the deal with Princess Leia, what kind of person she was. She was brave, you knew what she was doing, like you knew her as a diplomat who was working with the rebels to undermine Vader. You knew that immediately. You knew that she was brave, that she could stand up to Vader like this. And then you saw Luke, and you immediately knew all of his story too, what he wanted. He's a simple farm boy, wanting to do more with his life, something meaningful. He wanted to go out like his friends did and do something with his life. I mean, it was just so obvious from the very beginning, like who these characters are and what they wanted. But you can't say that about any of these new shows coming out with Disney because they don't know what they want to convey. They want to take what was done before. They basically just feels like they're just feeding on the corpse of the previous EU and regurgitating it into just retelling these stories that we've already known about, but just repurposing it and retelling it for their new Disney era characters. But I say that The Acolyte is the biggest offender when it comes to character creation. Their ideas, most women don't like sci-fi because there aren't enough women in it, not because the genre doesn't provide what most women want. They can't accept there's an underlying difference. It's funny to see the streaming numbers every week, the top streaming numbers, and Bridgerton was like at the top of the list for weeks, all while The Acolyte was premiering. I don't know if The Acolyte even broke the top 10, but it was at the bottom or not even on the list some weeks. And there was like Love Island or Cowboy Cheerleaders documentary show that was on there in the top. But Bridgerton, like by far, was exploding in the viewership numbers. And yeah, The Acolyte wasn't on there anymore. So women are watching shows, they're just not watching this. Clearly, women, by and large, are appealed to a certain kind of story and this kind of romantic stuff or reality TV, stuff like that. So maybe just concentrate on appealing to your core fan base, which does include women, by the way, but just concentrate on appealing to Star Wars fans. Because Star Wars fans, they're women, obviously, because Star Wars used to appeal to everybody because it was an epic story, a space opera action about good versus evil, and yeah, it could appeal to everyone. They just think it's a simple matter of just putting a woman in charge, and that's it. Currently catering to about less than 0.5% of the population. And they say they wanted to like appeal to women. Oh, now we're making it for women. It wasn't accessible to them before, but it's just a load of crock.